If you think hiring is just gonna solve your problem, you're gonna bring in someone and your revenue is gonna double, triple, 5x overnight, that's not gonna happen. If you don't know or have a good grasp of the business, how are you gonna teach and manage someone how to do their own jobs effectively if you can't even do it yourself? Hello again, and welcome to another video. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Preston, a professional recruiter running my own agency. If you're looking for a dream job or you need help hiring, please feel free to reach out to me. If you are as excited as I am to get into this video about building and scaling whether or not you should for your own recruitment team, please consider supporting a fellow recruiter. Give us a like, subscribe, click that bell. It really means a lot. Let's get started. Before we get into it, a couple things about me just in case you're brand new. So I started my recruiting career way back in 2014 at a nationwide US staffing agency. Basically started my way from the bottom out of 300 at that time nationwide and became one of the top producers in a relatively short amount of time. I was able to bill over $500,000 on my own desk, no client handouts, all created from cold emails, cold in-mails, cold outreach, cold calling, and was able to also do over $100,000 in billable placements gross in a single month, reaching that really elite prestigious club at my company, which I was hyped about. Had a short stint as a corporate kind of intern recruiter, and then that company ran out of money. And then I found myself at a crossroads. What am I gonna do? And I decided to bet against myself, start my own practice. One thing led to another, and here we are today. Was lucky to be able to really duplicate that same success, do a little over $500,000 on my own desk in the first month. And since then, grateful to say that a little over multiple seven figures in placements to date. One more thing, before we get started, FYI, right? This is based on my own experience. Whether it works for you, whether you disagree, that's totally cool. Just sharing with you from my own personal point of view. My intention is that I just sharing with this, I hope it helps. I hope it provides you value. I hope it helps you 10x level up your team. And perhaps one day we can work and help each other out. That'd be really, really cool. Reasons to build a team at your agency. Again, there would be so many different reasons, but here are the most common. Obviously, having more recruiters on your team basically means if you guys also know what you're doing, hopefully more top line revenue for the team and for the business. It can also buy yourself more time back. So for me, I have a small team, but I also still do the full desk end-to-end, developing relationship with clients, doing cans, because I also love it. But at a certain point, if I decide to scale my team further, I need to focus more on leadership, high level strategy versus the internal weeds instead of the hands-on daily kind of in the trenches working with the team. And for me to be able to kind of focus more of my headspace and bandwidth on just being a leader and driving the business forward, I would have to buy up more time because there's no way that I can do it with a much bigger team, right? Who needs my attention, who needs my management. Also, a bigger team possibly can help you gain more credibility, breaking into bigger companies, accounts, and things like that. But all in all, I think it's two big things, whether it's to make more money, to buy yourself more time, to do a combination of both. But from my experience, it's usually, one of two most common reasons: to make more money, buy yourself time, or a combination of both. So if you're thinking about building your company, step one, you gotta really assess your needs, right? Like, are you guys killing it? Are you doing really good? Like, what is your quarterly revenue? What's your annual revenue? Is that something that is honestly, and ask yourself, be honest with yourself. Has it just been out of luck? Or do you know what you're doing? You can consistently hit, 5 figures a month, 6 figures a year, multiple 6 figures a year, or perhaps maybe you've exceeded your capacity. You have way too much business for yourself or you and one or two others to handle. Then to me, that becomes like a natural reason why you should scale a team so that you can kind of handle all that fulfillment opportunity so that you can continue to execute, make clients happy, rinse and repeat. And you have to also determine the scale of recruitment operations required. I think in recruitment, especially on the agency side, there's really nothing wrong of being a solo recruiter. I was a solo recruiter for the first 4 or 5 years out of choice because I loved it. Like, I was able to do a good number of placements per year. I was able to have that flexibility. I don't have to manage anybody. And if I want to travel, if I want to work out of Europe, Asia, US, I could do that if I just had a phone and a Wi-Fi connection. And to me, that was it. That was my level of success. Obviously, as I get older, my success, my goals have evolved. But within even my space and other companies and teams that I also know, you need to kind of ask yourself, if you want to scale, like, why do you want to scale and how big do you want to scale? You can disagree with me, but to me, it's almost equally as impressive to have a 5, maybe 10-person team that's well optimized than having a team of 20 or 40 or 50 that's just not optimized, leaving so much money on the table. The infrastructure, the systems are poor, and it's just causing you a lot more headaches and sucking up a lot more resources than you actually anticipated. A bigger team means more time, more money, but it can also mean more drama, politics, and headaches, right? So with staffing and with staffing agencies, I know that when you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, there's so much pressure to be like, hey, success to me means I'm running and owning a company, a team with 10, 50, 100 people. That's great if you want to do that. But also, I think if you have a team of 5, a 3, 2, and you're still able to be consistently profitable in 1, 3, 5, 10 years, that to me is equally as impressive as it should. I think most businesses don't even get past the first year, let alone the first, second, or third year. So to me, it's all about what does success mean to you, and don't follow the traditional footsteps of I need to have a team of 50 people just because I think to me that's what success means. Really be crystal clear what success means to you, what lifestyle you want, and then build a business around that. The next thing you have to do is really define the roles and responsibilities. So if you're looking to hire, what does that mean? Full-time, part-time? Here are some kind of full-time, most common hires for recruitment teams, right? You can either hire a recruiter. What does that mean? Is it a recruiter on the BD side, a recruiter on the candidate side, a full desk, full stack, or end-to-end recruiter that does a bit of both, which is kind of like what I'm doing right now? Or do you hire someone who might be maybe a half a level or level down, right? It's a coordinator that just helps you coordinating, scheduling, or communicating, or emails, or maybe just a sourcer, someone who's only focused on the candidate side. Like, what do you need? It doesn't necessarily mean you have to always hire someone full-time. And if you do, what does that mean? Break it down and be crystal clear. Hiring someone full-time, obviously it's a lot more money, a lot more risk for you to hire, but you can also generate more revenue. You'll have a lot more loyalty, trust, teamwork, and you can really build a solid foundation with a great culture. If you go like the part-time route, hire a VA, like that's totally cool. So I would first ask you, like, why do you need a VA? What exactly will they do for you? How much will you pay them? But even though logically it may feel like it's less risky to hire people, that's totally cool, like VAs or hourly people. But also keep in mind that with that, on the flip side, you'll get less loyalty. They'll probably be working with other clients and trust. You might have some scheduling, communicating issues, or all of the above. All of these things can happen. So again, what are your needs? And do you want full-time? Do you need part-time? Again, traditional perspectives would make you think that, hey, if I want to scale, I have to hire full-time. I know so many businesses that don't have any full-time. They just have 10, 20, whatever part-time VA, and they're absolutely killing it. Whatever works for them, works for them. What do you want? And find the right sort of combinations and the specific talent that you need that works best for you and your business. Quick note, before even progressing, from my own experience, I just have to kind of share a couple things, right? So in my belief, I don't think that you should consider really hiring if you're not even making revenue, let alone at least 6 figures or multiple 6 figures or higher, right? I think if you're not even doing this, minus taxes, minus savings, you're not really leaving that much more to play, let alone even giving yourself a strong opportunity to build a savings fund or a rainy day fund if the market's tough, if the year is tough. So I really do believe that number one, you should focus on perfecting your craft. Really know what you're doing. If you're coming into recruiting with no experience, my recommendation is try to find a mentor, someone that has a verifiable track record, someone who's transparent, honest, or just try to get a job. A lot of people think recruiting is great. It might not be for you. The best way to try it out low risk is work for someone and see if it's for you, right? If you understand and you know exactly what you're doing, you know how to bring in business, you know how to close deals, then try to get to that level where you can hit 6 figures consistently, you can hit multiple 6 figures consistently. I feel like if you are a solo recruiter, you're not able to break 6 figures just on your own desk, then it's gonna be really, really stressful and tricky for you to manage a part-time or even a full-time hire on top of that. It's gonna be hard for you to even afford them. You're gonna have constant even stress as like your expenses increases. And on top of that, you're not even really that comfortable end-to-end on recruiting at a level that should require you to bring in extra help. Make sure you're able to consistently hit a certain level and be honest. Is it by skill? Do you know what you're doing? Or is it by luck? Do you have a solid savings, rainy day fund, at least 6 months, 12 months or more? If you think hiring is just gonna solve your problem, you're gonna bring in someone and your revenue is gonna double, triple, 5x overnight, that's not gonna happen. If you don't know or have a good grasp of the business, how are you gonna teach and manage someone how to do their own jobs effectively if you can't even do it yourself? On top of that, bringing someone on board increases your risk, increases your stress. Like, you just need to be crystal clear. Bringing someone on board, another human being, and hiring is a very big deal, and it should be treated as such. And so you really have to understand that, hey, this is your business. You need to know without anyone how to grow that business, how to do everything A to Z. And then at some point, you have no time, you're at capacity, you're barely floating along water because, hey, like you have more money than you can count, you have more business than you can deal with. At that point, I think that is the perfect time organically to think about starting a conversation with someone to bring them on board. Step 3, you also want to determine your structure and your size, right? So there's infinite amount of ways to structure a recruitment team. Some of the most common ones are as follows. So you can focus your team around a specific niche, right? So maybe you have a team that focuses only on engineering or AI or cybersecurity, or it can be broad and wide. You know, your whole team does all positions not related to each other across the board. Whatever comes in, you know, you can allocate to your team, and then if you close it, rinse and repeat. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. I personally believe that being focused on a niche is the right way to go, but again, if it works for you, it works for you. Now, again, if you bring on someone, like what does that mean? Are you bringing on a coordinator? Are you bringing on a sourcer to support recruiters? It really depends on your business, how much capacity, how much demand, how many open jobs that you have, what industry that you're in. But I'm hoping, you know, I can kind of share some of these ideas with you so it can help marinate in your brain to give you some ideas, the right course of action to take. There are other models where perhaps recruiters have their own clients, or maybe they're compensated as such, versus you having a team of 3, 4, 5 recruiters, and all the clients that come in are really the ownership is within the company, and then the recruiters basically are allocated. You can take this client, you can take this client, that's what you're responsible for. And when they close it, you give them another client, rinse and repeat. For the first one, recruiters basically either have their own clients, so they're responsible for bringing in their own clients, they're also rewarded and paid as such, or, you know, in a more collaborative fashion, as I shared with you before, they're more paid on just, hey, these are the clients coming in, you don't really have to worry about them, you don't have to worry that we're only going to pay you because you brought them in. If someone else brought them in, that's fine, you're just in charge of closing them. So the ownership could be either on the recruiter itself bringing them in, perhaps the company has a BD team, they brought the client in, and then now the recruiter's sole job is to just focus on the candidate side, right? There's like so many different combinations that you can think of. Again, when it comes to size, that really depends on you. If you hire recruiters, it could be in like a line, kind of a flat structure where no recruiter is managing another recruiter. You give them a good comp plan, uncapped, and they just do as many deals as they can, and they just get a great income every single year and they're happy. Or you have more levels, right? So like if you want to hire a director that manages a manager, that manages a senior lead recruiter, that manages entry-level recruiters, that manages coordinators or sourcers, like it all depends on you and how it works and fits best with your business. After that, you want to be able to recruit and select the right team members for your team, right? You want to create comprehensive job descriptions. You want to be able to advertise and promote it internally, externally across all channels. Referrals, word of mouth is particularly very great, especially social media in this day and age. You want to create a really regimented, robust selection process, making sure that you know exactly what you're looking for, what criteria that you think someone should have joining your team, and that you assess and analyze that every single stage. You also want to make sure you prioritize cultural fit and alignment with agency values during the selection. The way I see it is that these people, aside from your significant other and family, are going to be people that you'll be spending so much time with. Make sure that if you're hiring, one of the advantages of being an owner, a business owner when it comes to hiring, is that you have the power to hire who you want. And while it is also very important for them to have the hard skills, because you'll be spending so much time with them, naturally, you know, you want to hire people that you like, that you vibe with as well. Same energy level, same frequency, same work ethic, and all of these things you need to be crystal clear before you start hiring. But once you're hiring, you want to make sure that every single stage you're testing and analyzing people on certain criteria, so that if they get to the end of the funnel or later stages, they have a high chance of exhibiting all the traits and skills you're looking for to be a successful badass recruiter on your team. Step 5, you also want to think really hard about training and onboarding. What does that look like? You want to be able to create extensive training on recruitment processes, the tools, industry-specific knowledge, whether it's virtual, if you're a distributed team, hands-on, a combination of both. Because recruiting on the staffing side is a lot of sales, what I've seen with a lot of companies, and what I even do in mine, is that we do a lot of role-playing or handling objections or shadowing. Because if you are good at what you do, the best way to train someone is by leading by example. And if they can see you, if they can just hear the conversations you have, that to me is a lot more valuable than creating a slideshow presentation and having them memorize scripts, hands down, any day. But if you do a combination of both, I think that's the best of both worlds. You want to make sure that you also conduct orientation, right? About the agency's brand, your culture, your values, your ethos, your unique selling points, so that when they talk to people, candidates, clients, friends, they know exactly what to say to paint your business in the best light, hoping to be able to plant those seeds to cultivate new opportunities, whether it's on the business side, candidate side, or both. You want to also foster just team building activities to create a cohesive and motivated recruitment team. On the staffing side, it's tough what we do. It's very unpredictable, it's high stress, it's fast paced, and it's even more challenging to maintain a strong culture if you're fully distributed. So find a way, break it up, you know, every other month, once a quarter, or maybe once or twice or 3 times a year, try to bring the team together so that you guys can also kick it, work together in person. It's just a different energy. The bonds are made stronger. quicker, and you can also have the opportunity to just learn more about team members who are working so hard for the company and for the brand. Step 6, develop a conclusive recruitment process. You want to design a standardized recruitment process best practice, or SOP, or standard operating principle practice, and you want to make it super clear via training. You also want to create guidelines, make sure for job postings, prep emails, candidate screenings, follow-up calls, follow-up emails, interview process management, evaluation, negotiations, and you want to make sure that it's very easily digestible and duplicatable for not just your team member, but also future ones that you bring on board as well. You want to have a clear goal system. How are you going to compensate your team members? What are the KPIs that you'll be looking at to track good performance? How would you know if someone's at doing great performance versus good versus just average? And how can you be able to communicate that and back it up with data to your team so that you are aligned crystal clear with everyone on what they have been doing, what they need to fix, and what they should be doing moving forward. Step 7, you want to figure out a compensation plan. So in staffing, I talked about this before in my other videos, there are infinite amount of iterations and combinations that you can utilize to compensate someone for their hard work. An easy thing is just the plain old salary, or you can do a draw, which basically means, hey, if I give you a draw of 50,000, that means that if you are able to bill 60, 70, 80,000, you give that 50,000 back because you kind of owed it. It's lent to the employee. Everything on top will give you a percentage, a flat fee, or however way that you structure it. The biggest difference between a salary and draw is a salary is whatever you pay the candidate, that's the candidate. You can't take it back. They're not owed anything from you. There's no underlying agreement or agenda compared to a draw, where it's more like, hey, you're lending this money to the candidate, and upon good performance, they give a big chunk of it back, and they're off into the sunset and crushing it, and you can adequately compensate them on the rest that they bring in. Or, what about, you can just do commission only, right? So maybe the percentage will be a lot larger. Maybe it's a combination of salary and commission, draw and commission, whatever works best for you to not only have you run a successful business, but also to incentivize your team adequately. That is the next big thing that you need to figure out. Last but not least, you want to be compliant, obviously, with regulation, employment laws. If you're running a business, you're hiring people, it's really important to keep a pulse on labor laws, regulations, industry best practices. Make sure that your recruitment process adheres to diverse, equal opportunity, non-discriminatory practices, right? You want to be able to create a good company that if you went back in time, you'd be excited and proud to join across a lot of different facets. If you do payroll, right? Again, is it W-2 here in the US? Is it 1099 if you're doing more hourly or contracting? There's a lot of implications on both. Taxes, benefits, these are a lot of things to consider, and a lot of things that people don't usually think about when they think about, oh, I just need to hire. It's as easy as making sure I have enough in the bank, pay them every month, making sure they're happy. There's a lot that goes into it. So I hope that this video helps and it can give you some more clarity on what to do if you're thinking about hiring a team. I think that if you got to the stage where thinking about scaling, that's awesome on you. That's highly respectable and commendable that you've reached a level of success where, hey, now it's time for me to bring in other people to help fulfill a lot of the great positions that we're working on, to build that brand, to slowly expand into new markets, and you're off on the horizon scaling and running a successful business. So if you're here and you're at that point, that's awesome. Please reach out to me. I love hearing stories of other staffing and recruitment firms absolutely crushing it. There's a lot that I can learn from you as you can learn from me. We're all in this together, and just want to do whatever we can to work hard, learn, give you value, and hopefully we can all elevate recruiting together. So thank you so much, and we'll see you on next one.